Alright, so I was browsing VP when I found this thread right here, the famous Fakemons thread, and I thought it was something that was actually pretty relevant to talk about since we've already had starter Pokemon fakes that were almost immediately debunked, and we don't even have the official game announcement. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to kind of go through and see all the different Fakemon that have caught people's attention over the years. That's why it's like the famous Fakemons thread. Some of these I've actually seen before, but very few of them have I actually seen in the context of being a leak. And that's mostly because I didn't care about like the super crazy news leaks and stuff. I'm smart. I only trusted Cerebi back in the days of like 5th generation, 6th generation, stuff like that. So I didn't really get caught up in having my expectations blown away by some of these Pokemon. But now with like the rise of YouTube in the 6th generation, and especially in the 7th generation, everyone trying to just milk that YouTube money with all their fakes and stuff, there's definitely been more and more of them. So I want to go through and see which ones have caught people's attention. And the weird thing is there's almost no history behind it. That for a lot of the Fakemons, say you do a starter Fakemon, or like that blows up on news and then it turns out to be fake or something, well, the actual starter leaks, when those come out, those end up just like overshadowing the entire post, so it's really hard to dig through and find some of the more original ones. For example, searching the X and Y starter leak, I remember these guys. I remember seeing that. I immediately thought that's fake. That is way too fan servicey. That is like, you have to look at some of the trends for fakes as well. When they don't really change the body style that much, they're like, oh, let's just make let's just make these Pokemon grow up, is what that looked like. And the designs started being just completely different from there with the actual ones. But yeah, then we got into the real leaks. Now I remember there was gameplay footage or like gameplay screenshots. I'm like, wait a second. Is this real now? Because you can't trust anything. You couldn't even trust these when these came out. Because one, the Pokemon designs, they looked a little weird, but, you know, Pokemon Game Freak, they've done crazy things like that before. And in-game leaks are something that have been a thing for a very long time. And we'll also talk about some of the other ones that we've seen. So yeah, when it came to like the starter leaks, well now, Pokemon Sun and Moon, and even the more recent fakes that have already been confirmed, this just starts overwriting itself. So you really have to start digging and digging and digging and digging until you can find some of the other leaks that people fell into. So it starts to get harder and harder. Also, people take down posts out of embarrassment, and yeah, you can't really keep up with it. Same with like Pokemon Sun and Moon. There's a lot of real leaks going on, and there's a lot of fake leaks. Now, you know, some of these got overly publicized and stuff, and obvious fakes just kind of getting way too much attention, and you know, just messing with the flow. Just believe in real information and then have side discussion videos like this. You can talk about the Fakemon. You just can't be like real or fake, rumor, leak, when there's absolute garbage behind it. You know, that's just how I feel. We should keep our expectations reliable and not call fake things credible like this. So yeah, we can actually see that there were a lot for Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokemon X and Y, not as many. That I was trying to like look for them and they did get buried and stuff. It's just kind of an idea as to what's going on, and the famousness does change over time, I feel, just because of the way that it ends up working out. Back in the 4th, 5th generation, there weren't as many people covering fakes, there wasn't as much publicity, so there weren't things that were blowing up as much. Like, people are still talking about the Alolan Arcanine. That was just fan art. That wasn't even attempted to be a leak as the design. Like, that was just, you know, Tyranitar Tube picking it up, changing it around, and then going like, oh, but one of the rumors, one of these unconfirmed just things is saying like, hey, we're gonna have a water type Arcanine, even though it's like, oh, what we had a ice type fire Pokemon, so that means a water type fire Pokemon for the surfing theme of the Hawaiian Alola region. That's totally confirmed, guys. We got this one. 100% credible leak right there. So yeah, that's kind of dumb, but this one was actually really interesting because I've seen these pictures before, but I didn't know that anyone tried to spin these as a leak or anything, and I actually found a Reddit post. So there's a Reddit post that has a little bit more information. When it comes to VP, people mostly just like posting the picture and then not providing much context because they've just seen it as a Fakemon or something. This was cool. The Sinnoh starters was rumored that Diamond Pearl's starters would not be the traditional fire, grass, water types, and people are saying, hey, I remember these, good times. Now, I feel like everyone's always speculated, like, hey, what happens if we get non-traditional typings for the starters? But I didn't know there was actually a leak that people encountered all the way back before the 4th generation games came out that was just like, that could be interesting right there. Like, we didn't have social media. It was mostly like you went to a board, you went to a forum, it's like, oh, this is Japan thing going on. Maybe this is real. You know, there wasn't as much accessibility. But then this, I remember this guy. That guy's gotten around because that looked like a legitimate evolution to Piplup as it kind of grew up and stuff, and it got close. The scary thing is it got close to the Empoleon. So that's that's one of those. And then I've already talked in detail about this. Like, this got to the point where it was obviously fake. There was actually an interview I want to cover. So in one of the Pokemon art books, there's an interview with, is it Sugimori, who says they don't want the Pokemon to look too cool because they want the Pokemon's personality to shine through as well. And that's why Fakemon are usually identifiable, because they put all the cool things. They don't have that restriction. You know, that's why it's a fan art. That's why when people want to do a fan fiction or something, they're correcting what the actual company has never done or never gone through with, so they try to make it cooler than the restrictions that the actual company themselves put themselves on. So something like this, while it is kind of in line with Decidueye, and Decidueye I feel push the limits of a cool Pokemon, you know, when you see something like that, it's like maybe a little too loud, maybe a little too much going on when it actually comes to a starter Pokemon. And then there's this guy. So when I was talking about the X and Y starter leaks, like, hey, anyone can make in-game footage, we've seen this before and stuff, this was actually one of the big ones, because holy crap, that looks real. That everything about this looks like an actual Pokemon, and it has so many things that are going on with it. First off, the Sugimori art style, there's tons of artists that just practice to make Sugimori style art, not for faking and tricking people, but mostly just because it's a gorgeous art style and something really cool to, it's hard to master, so I think it's just really something really cool to learn and kind of adapt as an artist, especially if you make Pokemon fan art. You can just draw an existing Pokemon, traditional Pokemon, in Sugimori art style, and it would be pretty awesome. So this, it was pretty close on the art style, and also we've seen Pokemon similar to other Pokemon. Pokemon Black and White, it did a lot of very similar Pokemon designs. So with this, yeah, 6th generation, why wouldn't have a furret-looking Pokemon, especially when we already have a Furfrou in the same kind of style. Now, I don't remember the timeline on this. Again, I wasn't keeping up with the 6th generation as much. But then, yeah, someone went through all the detail to make it look like a 3D model inside the game, taking what we have. The bubble, it's... You know, you can tell that maybe it was just pasted over something. Also, the artifacting on the original, like, image versus the Pokemon that goes inside, a little bit more questionable right there. But when you just see this, you're going to think, holy crap, that's real. And when you have a trusted source going, hey, this could be real, that's where the problems start getting in. Because I feel, as a YouTuber, as someone that's just spreading this information, you should have more responsibility. You shouldn't be setting the hopes for your audience that trust you and then letting them down so easily without any care for your audience, even though it's like, yeah, this looks good, and someone might not imagine that something like this, something this detailed, could be fake, especially in a time like 6th generation before all this started really going out. And especially back in the 2D games when you could just kind of do any kind of sprite work over it. I wonder if the hacking scene was that big, because I knew they were like ROMs and stuff. I don't know if it was like the randomizer era yet, where you could, and then people like injecting their own sprites, but you could actually just put a sprite into the game and then make it look organic, or just do some really good photoshopping and then make it look real as well. Now that looks like a fake Pokemon, and you know, it does come down to design and the artist quality and stuff, but at the same time, you can make something look natural like it's inside. Trash tier, I agree, Anon. Like, when I saw this, like, oh, come on. It's like, one problem right now is that with the Pokemon art book, we have a lot of the concept art for pretty much, actually, I think we have all the concept art for every 7th generation Pokemon, and because of that, people are like, oh, but the Primarina one came real, and all the other ones came real, so now we're set up for it. First off, doesn't really have, like, a good Sugimori art style. It doesn't even have, like, it doesn't even feel the same. And then also, just framing the pictures, because I think there was another post where there was like a Pokemon art gallery and it had some concept art and it was framed and stuff. So I think people like spread that as a leak, even though it was information that was already available. Like, it was Pokemon Sun and Moon information. People were trying to spread it for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I believe. And that's what these guys were doing. They were like, oh, but if we frame the concept art, now I'm not saying that, you know, putting a confidential thing in a public space is what makes it debunked. Because, like, maybe they just need references. Maybe it's like, hey, guys, these are the goals. This is the vision that we have for the new Pokemon game. You know, we're kind of proud of this work, so we'll frame it. I don't think the framing it was really what threw it away, but it's also like, are you serious? That's how you... We've already seen people go more out of their way. Like, one of them that we're going to be talking about, these guys right here. You know, that was a full-on Korokoro article with, like, an in-game sprite, the page being reprinted and matted and stuff, just right to make it look like an actual magazine. We've seen people go out of their way, so just because you frame something doesn't mean it's going to get any bit of extra credibility or anything like that. And then again, the designs, They look a little too cool. They look a little in detail. They look like there's too much going on, like with the way the faces are portrayed, with the way that your coral Pokemon is kind of hanging out and stuff. You know, it's like, it's a little too over the top. And then, yeah, that was the picture of how it looked when printed out. Nah. This is where you gotta have some responsibility, when, especially in the face of all these other ones. Like, look at this guy. That's Sugimori art style with Pokemon that seem just very well themed for X and Y. The models almost looking good. Like, see, you can actually see that has like art ridges instead of actually being pixelated and stuff. I don't know how you could do that, because we already saw that replicated with the fur looking guy over there. So yeah, this was like close, especially on that scaled out one. If it was maybe a bit more pixelated, finding the battle theme and actually making it look like, hey, that's legit Pokemon in a wild encounter. That's cool. I love this guy. I wish this guy was freaking real. So that's Huka at deviantart.com. I mean, yeah, we've seen really good spreads before, so I don't understand like why the worse that the leaks go, the more people are covering them. It's just desperation. That's why I just call it desperation. There is no filter right now. There's no restriction. People aren't even attempting to say that, hey, let's give it some time. Let's figure out if there's any credibility behind this before just throwing down the video and making them views, because you gotta be the first one to cover it. That when something looks real and you jump onto it, people are gonna be like, oh my god, real news, click, and then it's like, oh, it's fake. Well, they already got the click, and then no one is going to think otherwise about it being fake. So no matter how good it looks, you're at fault if you fall for it, because we've seen good things in the past like this that turn out to be fake. And another thing is, that's what they do. Again, fan art, it's going to be different. It's going to be better stylized. It's going to make you want to believe it's real. Because I would love another Murkrow-like Pokemon. This guy's just badass. I love it. This, talking about it again, I don't think that this was like a part of the Fakemon trend, but it's like, yeah, this guy, it was such a famous Fakemon, just more art spread about it. Black and White, again, Black and White, showing us some cool things. I guess Starter Pokemon League. Never saw these guys take off, especially like that. That looks fake. The Panda Pokemon looks good. The Fire Scorpion, it's kind of good. And then, yeah, just like you print it out, you put it in a book, and you make it look real. It's like, that's my Korokoro League, guys. So we got some stuff like that. These got their own video, because the actual fakers, they went out and went through the whole process on DeviantArt. It was actually a really interesting read, because again, it shows that anything is possible. Kind of taking it out, it's like, oh, people love Go-Goats. We got a Mountain Goat starter. He just looks like an adorable fire teddy bear. And then we get a nice little water gecko guy going on. Some other ones, you know, this was a weird one, because it showed like some real mixed in with some fake, with some that were close. So I don't know if this was kind of following some rumors, following some like very sketchy leaks or something. Because like, yeah, like the Heartfish Pokemon that was maybe evolving from Love Disc or something. You know, we had the in-game, so I guess we had the in-game that was a little like messy looking, but we actually didn't just have the straight up art style for it. So someone just made like, you know, a poster or some kind of advertisement like, hey, check this out. Now that Pokemon seems fake, so Sadfish didn't really make it out. Swanna and the evolution of Deerling. Nah, the evolution of Deering. Okay, remember when people thought Rockruff was a deer? That was funny. I had no faith. I was like, we got a puppy Pokemon, guys. It's not hard. Oh, this one again. So yeah, there was something about the Aloma Mola. Diggersby got a really close stylization. We had like, that's just like a cool looking ghost Pokemon. We had the Galvantula. So yeah, it's like we had similar ideas. We had evolutions. It's like, oh, wait a second. If we have Love Disc evolving into a Pokemon, then why can't others, you know, that have been forgotten, like Chingling, evolve into a Pokemon kind of falling off that fourth generation? I think that's pretty cool. Cofagrigus. So I'm wondering, like, where these announcements came from. I'm going to do a little bit more research, because, like, that's fascinating that a lot of people did roughly the same thing. It's just that it became fake. It was fake art of real Pokemon. This was something as well. I remember this guy because there was like the comic that was coming up. So someone made a fake comic playing off of Rowlet and a little bit of the starter evolution. I think the fakes were out by this point. The fakes were around, or not the fakes, the real leaked ones that turned out to be the real starters. Those were out for a while right now, so people were just filling the pieces in. Like, wait a second, if Rowlet evolves into Archer Pokemon, then that's going to be the Archer Bird, and we already had this this manga, this comic was actually, I think, promised or like confirmed to be out at some point. So people were like, oh, I got a leaked version, it has a new Pokemon in it. So that was something. I wouldn't even consider that like fake mon. I think people are just like, this is, Or, I mean, this is Fakemon, not leaks or anything, so I wouldn't say those. Actually, those guys are kind of famous, because for some reason, he just memed. These evolutions just, like, memed and blew up, so that was whatever. And talking about 4-stage evolution, I think that was actually a legit rumor that people thought at one point. And then just going through all that. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to do one more little bit of research. I think we can end the video on, like, a pretty interesting little note. So yeah, this was actually the only thing I could find on it. So yeah, this was like confirmed fake and stuff, but images from a Japanese forum 2chan have leaked and revealing 3 new Pokemon. One of these evolution for Chimecho, spider-like Pokemon, skull-like Pokemon. Like the spider-like Pokemon was really close to Galvantula. I guess it wasn't like confirmed at this point or anything. Also shown that Manambu is an evolution of 3rd generation Pokemon called Love Disc. So I guess, did we just have the names and like Pokedex entry stuff? I actually want information, guys. I might have Joe Merrick and ask him like what the history is behind this, because 5th generation leak information and like kind of understanding what happened in the past could help us with the future Pokemon now, because there were so many 5th generation Pokemon just like non-stop being revealed for a while. It's like, oh, by the way, we're just going to show some gameplay footage, and then like boom, there's a new Pokemon just in there, and it remains unnamed for a while or something. So those were really weird. And if you have any information, or if you have like a website or something that I can visit to figure out what was going on here, please inform me on this one. There was like some misinformation though. Instead of being 4 kilograms, Victini was listed as 0.4 kilograms. It was unconfirmed, and that's our details and stuff right there. But yeah, like was it just a shadow? Like, what was going on right here with all this? It's so weird. How close and how far away. And then also putting in the sprite work. So yeah, there we go, guys. Hope you all enjoy the video talking about some cool fake stuff going on. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.